So, oh my word, oh my word. I generally don't know have any words for what happened last night, except probably unexpected, but absolutely flabbergasting. From what we were hearing from witnesses last night, there were Tory MPs squaring up to other Tory MPs, ready to rock and roll in the dividing lobby, something which I don't think has ever happened in the entire history of the House of Commons, let alone in our government, that members of the same party were about to square up and fight on fracking. And it wasn't just an issue of that, because it goes far, far deeper. Now, of course, throughout the day, there had been other pressures. Liz, not I was going to say Theresa May then. Liz Truss had lost one of her key advisors because he had been briefing against other Tory MPs, so he had to go. Suella Braverman, apparently, the day before, she had had a massive argument with Jeremy Hunt and Liz on the relaxing of immigration rules because, again, this would help the economy, which it desperately needs at the moment. And so she was going to go, and there's still speculation about whether this, quote, mistake or not was done on purpose, just so that, well, she could get while the getting was good. We're still not 100% sure, because there are now two clear factions. You've got very much the One Nation sort of traditional conservatives and those ultra-right conservatives who are the ones in power, desperate to hold on to it. But you've got these other One Nation conservatives who are now desperate to go in there and retake the party back from these ultra-right wingers. And they may do it. So we may see, possibly the next couple of hours, a full-blown Tory civil war. And at the time I am doing this, more and more Tory MPs are calling for her to quit. How Liz Truss ends up surviving the day is anyone's guess. But before we go into more chaos that happened last night, please do remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So, what happened? Why all this chaos? Well, essentially what happened last night was a opposition day vote. And these opposition day votes happen very late at night, basically so the government can just ignore them. But it was made very clear that a number of Tory MPs wanted to express their frustration at the government for going back on fracking. And this was going to cause a serious rebellion. It had been brewing for weeks. It wasn't just the mini budget, it was the fracking issue as well. And a lot of Tory MPs were not happy. And they were going to use this vote to express their disapproval. But this was also being carried up in all, well, shall we say, the complete death spiral that Liz Truss is indeed caught up in, because there were rumours that this was going to be used as a confidence vote. And then the government said at one point it was going to be used as a confidence vote, and at another time it wasn't going to be used as a confidence vote. And so on the vote went. And minutes before the vote even started, we got rumours at this time, which turned out not to be true, that the chief whip and their deputy had resigned from their positions. So don't make this mistake. There were a lot of consequences, and there is still a lot of stuff that could happen today about those MPs who did defy the government and voted with Labour on this. What their punishment is going to be, we don't know, but well, I'm sure we'll find out in due course. But trust me, I think other events are certainly going to, shall we say, take more hold today. But the chaos that happened, of where we had a group of Tory MPs forcing other MPs to vote with the party, which is now under investigation by the Speaker after we've seen the photos, because there's two photos floating around, and rumours of video evidence as well. Whether that surfaces today or not, we don't know. But there was clear evidence of that video, that in the photos, shall we say, that you can see Jacob Rees-Mogg and Theresa Coffey, and from what witnesses were saying, that they were giving contradictory advice about the vote, that it was a confidence vote, and others saying that it wasn't. And that there were other Tory MPs desperately locking arms to try and sort of bully and force other MPs to voting with the government. This just does not happen. This is absolute chaos. This is a government that has no leadership. The leader has no authority in the party, and she needs to go. And this has been slowly, stepping up. More and more Tory MPs are calling on her to go. But the question is, who replaces her? That is still the question. Some Tory MPs are saying, well, it's time for Boris. But even if you brought Boris back, there would be a massive outcry. The country was done with Boris at that point. Another Boris put back into power will not slide. At this point, I can see only two ways out of this for the Conservatives, and that is either A, to find this elusive unity candidate that will actually unite these two different factions, or they will basically go to war with each other and start tearing shreds out of each other, which will ultimately basically destroy the Tory party and any semblance of unity, and that no matter what leader gets put up, if it's by one faction or another, they will be disappointed and will ultimately act against them. And all we can say for the next 2 years, it will be just more continuing chaos. Or the Tory party will basically completely and absolutely, utterly fold to a point where a general election gets called. Those are the only two ways out at the moment for the Tory party, and they are desperately trying to avoid a general election because they've seen the polls. They know what happens, that they will get absolutely wiped out, and they are desperate for that not to happen. So I do not expect Liz Truss to survive the day. If anything exciting happens, I will go live for you, to bring you the news. But yeah, interesting times, guys. Interesting times. Very interesting. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.